The law of attraction is simply what you put out is what you get back. The part that people don't understand is that they are energy, and they don't understand that they're putting out a vibration. And it's not just about raising your vibration to get that thing that you want, right? That's not really the right direction. It's really understanding that, yes, you can raise your vibration, but why are you raising your vibration? And for me, it's about finding that inner joy and peace and calm. That's the first thing that should be manifest. And more importantly, it's also about loving yourself and others unconditionally. I believe that when we can do that, when we have that love and we feel that connection with every other soul on the planet, that then life becomes magical, and it really becomes that. And then things that you want are attracted to you.
Okay. Welcome to Unleash Inner Goldilocks, How to Get It Just Right. Thank you so much for joining us for another insightful and deeply meaningful conversation. Today, we are going to talk about balance, but balance through the lens of Goldilocks in terms of laws of attraction. When we are connected to the essence of who we are, which is not our body, which is our soul, when we are connected to the soul that is occupied inside of this body, and we understand and connect with our inner being, how does this allow us to attract joy, attract peace, and how to build a life of meaning and impact? That is going to be the crux of the conversation. And to have this conversation with me is Beth. Beth, welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
You're going to love talking to and hearing Beth McGill answer some of the questions, explore some of the concepts, and share her insights. So let's get started, Beth. How did you, being raised in a Western society that is very religious as opposed to the Eastern philosophy of spirituality and soul, how did you find your way into this, and what brought you along on this journey?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. And I was brought up in a traditional Christian home where going to church was what you did, and that was your community. As I grew older, went to college, one of the first courses I took was studies in religion. And that really opened my eyes as a 17-year-old, going, wow, there's different ways of thinking. There's different perspectives in the world. And then as I became an adult and started my family and having my own children, I really asked myself, how do I want to raise my children? And my default was, well, I should just do the way I was brought up, right? Without even thinking about it. But it really didn't resonate with me. And the less it resonated, the more it felt like I was making it happen. And then something happened in 2012. My mother passed away. And my mother was my very best friend. And her last words to me over the phone were, get back into the Bible. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give it one more push. And I got one of those Bibles where you read a part every day. And I went back to church. And even more so with her passing, I started to question everything. And I had to become honest with myself that this was not resonating. And I asked, I didn't know what would resonate, But I think when we open ourselves up and ask questions, like, if this isn't working for me, what is? And then we start to allow those things to come into our life. And so that's really how it got started.
That's fascinating that you had an open mind and an open heart to seek what is right for you. I grew up in the East as a Hindu. Hindu is the name the Westerners gave us because Hindu is technically people of the Indus Valley Civilization. It's not a religion, it's an entire people. And Hinduism is technically not a religion. The name is Janardana Dharma, means it's philosophy of humanity. And so we approach our life as we're seekers. We are seeking peace, we're seeking joy, whereas the religious institutions are about believing. You believe in something because you don't have to seek, it's already defined for you. So I see how you went from a belief system to seek what is right for you. What was some of the challenges you faced in that journey? Because it was not necessarily culturally surrounding you, it probably wasn't always accepted. And you may even have struggled with what you knew, what you believed in, versus what you were uncovering. How did that inner journey feel?
Well, at the time, I was an educator, and I had also become a financial advisor. And I had always been really into personal development. And I think that those personal development books that I was reading, that the tapes that I was listening to, I was wanting to better myself. I was wanting to become a better leader. I wanted to grow as a person. And I think that led me to having that open mind and listening to people like Jim Rohn. And I think that really led me to then people like Bob Proctor that were teaching the law of attraction and more of spirituality. So I think it's really started with personal development and looking at those leadership skills that led me to the spiritual journey. It was part of it anyway.
I love how you are able to connect the laws of attraction to your spiritual journey, because the underlying premise is that what you seek is seeking you. You're attracting what you're focusing on. And that is the energy world, right? Because the soul is a source of energy, as opposed to the body is just matter. So talk to us a little and help our audience understand what is the law of attraction and how that works.
Mm-hmm. The law of attraction is simply what you put out is what you get back. The part that people don't understand is that they are energy, and they don't understand that they're putting out a vibration. And it's not just about raising your vibration to get that thing that you want, right? That's not really the right direction. It's really understanding that, yes, you can raise your vibration, but why are you raising your vibration? And for me, it's about finding that inner joy and peace and calm. It's not, that's the first thing that should be manifest. And more importantly, it's also about loving yourself and others unconditionally. I believe that when we can do that, when we have that love and we feel that connection with every other soul on the planet, that then life becomes magical, and it really becomes that. And then things that you want are attracted to you. That's what I believe the law of attraction is. It's really a state of being.
Mm-hmm. And it totally resonates for me. And most people wonder how, for some people, everything they imagine falls into place. And it appears that they don't work that hard. But what people don't see is it's the energy and how they're engaging in this universe of energy force field and inviting what they're putting out. When you coach and train people, what are some of the mental blocks you're running into for people to pivot to get there? Because it's not an easy jump to make if you're raised in the Western tradition of being a believer. You have to see and you have to have proof. And this does not belong in the physical world to give physical proof.
Yes. And so we're brought up not only with that belief, but it's also based in fear. And we're taught that you have to work really hard. And the biggest thing that I think people that I'm working with have to get over is that they are in their own way because they're trying to figure it out. Everything's coming from the ego mind. They're trying to figure out the process. They're trying to figure out the how. And I believe that's not our job. And they're simply getting in their own way. And like I knew I was getting it in my own way, but I didn't know how to get out of my own way until I started allowing. And when you understand that you are a spiritual being having a temporary physical experience, and you start to feel that power within you, it's like all those other things melt away. We stop getting in our own way because there's no reason to get in our own way. There's no reason to have to figure out how something's going to happen when you're allowing the universe to support you. So I think the biggest thing or hurdle that I see is people are getting in their own way. They think they have to figure it out, and they think that they have to struggle and work really hard, which for me, from my perspective, is utterly ridiculous at this point, even though I totally understand it because that's where I was.
Mm-hmm. And two things you said resonates for me, and I know it'll resonate for our audience. Our audience come from both the East and the West, so everybody is going to be a slightly different, but it'll resonate for them. You talked about how ego gets in people's way. Mm-hmm. And you also talked about letting go and embracing and be willing to take those steps without knowing how it's going to unfold. And that is believing that if I put the right things out, the universe is going to rise up and meet me. The way I always explain this to my Western friends is, in the United States, we drive in fog. We don't drive just because we can see the destination. If we can see one car length, we will get behind the car. The faith is that I know to drive and I'm a good driver, and we can navigate this as long as I'm proactive and I'm cautious and I keep my eye one car length ahead of me. Mm. To me, that's metaphor for life. As long as we have that faith that the universe will meet us and we put the right energy and we go in the right direction, the path will emerge. Why? I know fear is one of the reasons why people can't see that. How do you help them overcome that fear and anxiety of wanting to know everything before they take the first step? Because there is no such thing. Life doesn't have a know-it-all.
Yeah, it's about going within. It's meditating. It's going within to reconnect, because the soul, you are a soul, but we get in the ego mind, we start thinking. So to eliminate that fear and that anxiety is to go back within and to find those answers, like you said, those answers that are seeking you, that are inside of you. So it's all about going within. And so many people say, oh, well, I can't meditate. I can't quiet my mind. It's like, well, yes, you can. And it's worth it, because what's on the other side is joy and bliss. Like, would you not try to meditate for 5 minutes a day if you know that on the other side of having a quiet mind is joy and bliss? And that gets them to set aside that time. It really is going within.
That is a beautiful thing you're doing for folks, because no matter how much material possessions people accumulate based on their definition of what success is, without that, people have nothing. And people realize that way too late in life. And the fact that you're helping them early on get in touch with yourself, because inside of you is what matters most. Now, I was blessed to be raised in a society that teaches us the most important relationship we are ever going to build is with the divine within each of us. The divine lives within me. And my entire body is the temple for that divine, and how I use this body, what I see, what I say, what I think, how I act is all manifesting and channeling that divine within me. Kind of changes the way we show up in the world, even in corporate America. So, talk to us a little bit about how you have seen people's lives and the way they show up in the world shift as they make this connection with their self within, and in the process start channeling their goodness and attracting what they need.
I find it to be subtle, as that fear tends to creep in. Like they'll take a couple steps forward, understanding and connecting to their soul and really being empowered, but then society comes along or they try to figure something out on their own. So I find that it's subtle as they're becoming empowered, because I've been doing this work since 2019, working with people. When I do my energy work, that is when I see the most difference, is when they're releasing those blocks energetically. And then I see them able to transform, whether it's their business or personal or relationship. I'm able to see them transform because they've energetically let go of blocks that they didn't even know they had. So that's when I see the most. But I've seen people take off in business. I've seen people take off in just reconnecting with relationships that they hadn't had for a while, like even with parental relationships. So it's really beautiful. It's more of it's more of an unfolding, especially when it's energetically. And sometimes people they might not understand that the energy work has been done, but I see it unfold, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense to me, because I come from a tradition that truly is deeply rooted in it. So what's coming up for me is, we're living in a world where there is so much ego. Winning is everything. For me to win, you have to lose. And all of this is mine, I won't share.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get your message and your solution that is lasting into a society which is where it is today?
I think we have to follow our soul's purpose. I believe we're all on a unique journey. No one is here to do the exact same thing. So for me, in following my soul's purpose, that's why I was led to selling my financial services business to do this work. I never set out to become a hypnotherapist or energy healer or teacher of the law of attraction. Like, that wasn't on my to-do list, but I attracted it because I realize now that that is my soul's purpose. So I was a very competitive person. My whole life I've been competitive. But what I've learned is that, or the lessons I've learned is that it's not about competition, it's about creativity. And the more that we can alleviate the competition and embrace the creativity, I believe that leads us to take our soul's purpose even further. So for me, the way that that's showing up now is through my YouTube channel. I am passionate. I am loving creating content for people that can see it around the world. Now, I don't know who's going to see it. I don't know who it's going to resonate with, but that's what's bringing me joy. It's what I'm passionate about. And I think that's what each one of us should do, is look and be curious about what we're passionate about, what brings us joy, and then follow that thing. And it doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be about business. It could be something really tiny. It could be, I would really love to create this meal. That would bring me joy. Whatever it is, it can be something small. It could be following another career path, but really leaving the thinking mind and really going into your heart and just asking yourself, what would I really love? Like, what would bring me the most passion, the most excitement right now?
That is beautiful. And I love the work you're doing. because you're counter programming the toxic trajectory people are going through. And that has no happy ending for an individual, their family, or the underlying society. So I personally believe we need more of what you're doing. Thank you for doing what you're doing. If you had one piece of advice for everybody on how they can start embracing the laws of attraction, what would that be?
Well, what came up to me just right away was stop being so hard on yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. Be easier about it. Even with the law of attraction, you can't make it happen. So I think the first thing that we have to do is we're so quick and easy and to judge others, but I think we're hardest on ourselves. And I would encourage people to think about how they think about themselves. What are their personal I am statements? And that's a place where people can get started right away.
Beautiful. And I know people are going to find this conversation deeply, deeply meaningful and helpful. How can people get a hold of you, Beth, and share some information? And then I will make sure that we share it when we release this episode as well.
Yes, absolutely. So my business is Thrive Flourish Grow because I believe that we're here for the expansion of our soul. And those are all synonyms for expansion. So my website is thriveflourishgrow.com. And people can find me there, find out what I have going on. I have an events page, and they can also find a link for my book, which is Allow Life to Happen and Receive Everything You Desire. So really everything is on the webpage.
Thank you so much, Beth. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for channeling your energy into the Goldilocks community and sharing your nuggets of wisdom and your goodness and your laws of attraction so that our community can continue to build and find their own peace and joyful existence. And to our audience out there, life is a very simple and beautiful proposition. All we need to do is realize that this presence in this body is temporary. We're all passing through, but we are much larger than this body and the time in this body. And we understand that and we resonate with that and start connecting with the divine within us. Magical things are going to happen. And everything you desire will come your way because you're channeling your energy and you're attracting what your soul is meant to experience. So try it. Take up meditation. Feel free to reach out to Beth. Reach out to anybody in this field that can help you. And remember to purchase Beth's book. Read it. You never know where the universe will take you, but just get ready and get started because the ride is always going to be worth it.